The alarm screamed through the bridge of the morning calm. Captain Dae-hyun looked up from his coffee, eyes immediately sharp. His ship was 3 weeks into a survey mission in the outer asteroid fields, far from any major trade routes. "What do we have?" he asked. Young-mi, his chief engineer, studied her screens with a frown. "Distress beacon, old model, Krell signature." Dae-hyun felt his stomach tighten. The Krell were not a species you wanted to meet unprepared. They stood 8 feet tall, covered in dark scales, with claws that could tear through steel. The galaxy knew them as hunters, warriors, predators in every sense. Their empire stretched across 12 star systems, and they kept to themselves unless provoked. "How old is the signal?" Dae-hyun asked. 4 days, maybe 5. Young-mi's fingers danced across her console. "The ship is drifting, no power signature." "No life signs reading from here?" The captain considered this. Galactic law was clear. Any distress signal had to be answered, regardless of species. But approaching a dead Krell ship could be dangerous. It could be a trap, it could be a plague ship. It could be carrying weapons that humans were not supposed to see. "We go look," Dae-hyun said finally, "but we go careful." "Young-mi, I want all scanners running." Taesung, weapons ready but not armed. Ji-woo, prepare medical just in case. His crew moved quickly. They had worked together for 6 years. They trusted each other. They trusted him. The morning calm approached the Krell vessel slowly. It was a hunting ship, designed for long voyages and deep space tracking. But something had torn a massive hole in its side. The metal was twisted outward, as if something had exploded from inside. "That is not weapon damage," Young-mi said quietly. "That is sabotage." Dae-hyun nodded. This was getting worse by the minute. They docked carefully, extending an airlock tube to a sealed section of the Krell ship. The atmosphere read as breathable, barely. The temperature was dropping fast. Whatever power had kept the life support running was dying. Dae-hyun, Young-mi, and Taesung suited up and crossed over. Their lights cut through the darkness of the Krell ship. Everything was built for beings much larger than humans. The corridors felt like caves. The air smelled of copper and something else, something chemical. They found the first body in the command center. A Krell male, huge even by their standards, slumped over a control panel. His throat had been cut, not with claws. "With a blade. This was murder," Taesung said softly. His hand moved closer to his weapon. They moved deeper into the ship, finding more bodies. The crew had fought. There was blood on the walls, scorch marks from energy weapons, but the attackers were gone. Only the dead remained. Then they heard it. A small sound. Almost like a whimper. Dae-hyun held up his hand and they all froze. The sound came again, from deeper in the ship. From the cargo bay, they moved carefully, weapons now in hand. The cargo bay doors were sealed, locked from the inside. Young-mi worked on the panel, bypassing the security. The doors hissed open. Inside, huddled in the far corner behind containers of dried meat and water supplies, were 5 small shapes, Krell cubs. Dae-hyun had never seen Krell children before. Few humans had. They were small, maybe 3 feet tall, covered in softer scales than adults. Their eyes were huge in their faces, and those eyes were filled with terror. The largest cub, a male, positioned himself in front of the others. His tiny claws extended, and he hissed at the humans, protecting his family. "Easy," Dae-hyun said softly. He lowered his weapon and held up both hands. "We are not here to hurt you." The cub did not move. Behind him, the smallest cub was shaking. Ji-woo's voice came through his communicator. "Captain, are you all right? Your heart rate spiked." "We found survivors," Dae-hyun said. "Cubs, 5 of them. Get medical ready. They look bad." Over the next hour, they managed to coax the cubs onto the morning calm. The largest cub refused to leave his siblings, so they moved all 5 together. Ji-woo had prepared the medical bay with warmer temperatures and softer lights. The cubs were in poor condition, malnourished, dehydrated. The smallest one had an infected wound on her leg. They flinched at every sudden movement, every loud sound. "How long were they alone in there?" Ji-woo asked, running her scanner over the first cub. "At least 4 days," Dae-hyun said. "Maybe longer before the ship lost power." They are children, Wu said, her voice tight with anger. Someone killed their family and left them to die. Daehyun watched the cubs huddle together on the medical bed. The largest one still watched the humans with suspicious eyes, but he had not tried to attack. He was too weak. They all were. We feed them, we get them healthy. Then we contact the Galactic Council, Daehyun said. Young Me appeared in the doorway. Captain, I pulled the ship's data core. You need to see this. In Daehyun's quarters, Young Mi showed him what she had found. The last transmission from the Krell ship was not a distress call. It was a message sent just before the attack. Encrypted. Sent directly to Krell High Command. The message was simple. They have found us. Protect the cubs. Who found them? Daehyun asked. I do not know, but Captain, there is more. Young Mi pulled up another file. This ship belonged to Clan Vecthar. According to galactic records, Clan Vecthar was declared traitor by the Krell elders 3 months ago. Traitor for what? No reason given. That is not unusual. Krell internal politics are their business. Young Mi paused. But Captain, traitor clans are supposed to be executed. All members, including cubs. Daehyun looked back toward medical, where 5 small lives now depended on him. Someone had tried to wipe out an entire family? These cubs had watched their family die. And now someone in Krell space wanted them dead too. We do not report this yet, Daehyun said. Not until we know more. That is against protocol, Young Mi said carefully. I know, Daehyun met her eyes. But something is very wrong here. And until I know what, those cubs stay with us. That night, Daehyun found himself in the medical bay. Ji-woo had gone to rest. The cubs were asleep, piled together in a nest of blankets, except for the largest one. He sat at the edge of the pile, eyes open, still watching. You can sleep, Daehyun said quietly. You are safe here. The cub did not respond. But after a long moment, he slowly lowered himself down next to his siblings. His eyes stayed on Daehyun until sleep finally took him. Daehyun stayed there all night, keeping watch. He did not know what he had gotten his crew into. But he knew one thing for certain. These cubs were not going back until he knew they would be safe. 3 weeks passed, and the morning calm became a different ship. The 5 Krell cubs were still afraid, but less so each day. They were learning that humans did not hit, did not punish for small mistakes, did not demand constant dominance displays. Ji-woo spent the most time with them. The smallest cub, who they learned was named Tess, followed the medical officer everywhere. When Ji-woo did her rounds, Tess walked behind her, watching everything with huge, curious eyes. When Ji-woo sat to eat, Tess sat nearby, mimicking how the human held her utensils. She wants to be like you, Young Mi observed one morning in the mess hall. Ji-woo smiled softly. She is sweet. They all are, once you get past the claws. Young Mi had been teaching the older cubs about the ship's systems. Krell had natural spatial reasoning abilities, and the 3 middle cubs, Ren, Mole, and Kier, picked up engineering concepts faster than some human trainees. They loved the engine room, loved watching the machines work together in harmony. In Krell culture, machines are just tools, Young Mi explained to Daehyun. But these cubs, they see the beauty in it. They ask why, not just how. The largest cub, Vac, was the most reserved. He stayed close to his siblings, still protective, still watching for danger. But Daehyun noticed small changes. Vac had started joining the captain in the observation deck in the evenings. He would sit silently, looking at the stars. One night, Daehyun told him a story about Earth, about great forests where predators called tigers once hunted, about how humans had been prey to these tigers, running and hiding, and how both tigers and humans learned to respect each other, to coexist. Humans were prey? Vac asked. His voice was rough, unused to galactic common. We were prey and predator both, Daehyun said. We hunted smaller creatures, but larger creatures hunted us. It made us adaptable, made us think in different ways. Vac was quiet for a long time. Then he said, Krell are only taught to dominate or be dominated. There's no ... between. Maybe there should be, Daehyun said gently. The message from the Galactic Council arrived on the 22nd day. The Krell High Elders had been notified of the cubs. A delegation was being sent to retrieve them. Standard procedure required immediate transfer of predator species, juveniles to their home government. The morning calm was ordered to proceed to station Kepler 7 for the transfer when Daehyun called his senior crew to discuss the orders. The mood was tense. "We have to comply," Taesung said, though his voice was reluctant. "It is galactic law." "Those cubs are terrified of going back," Erwu said. "Tess cries when I mention the Krell. She is 7 years old. She should not be that afraid of her own people." "We do not know what happened to their clan," Youngmi added. "All we have are suspicions." No proof. A diplomatic officer, Haijin, arrived via shuttle 2 days later. She was professional, efficient, and followed every rule precisely. She reviewed the situation and immediately expressed concern. "Captain, these cubs are showing behavioral patterns completely inappropriate for Krell juveniles," she said, reading through Jiwoo's reports. "Affection, playfulness, cooperation. At their age, they should be in dominance training. They are children who watch their family die," Daehyun said. "Of course they are acting different. The Krell elders will see this as contamination," Haijin warned. "Cultural interference with a predator species is a serious violation. We could lose our ship licenses. Humans could face council sanctions. So we pretend we did nothing? We pretend they were not starving and traumatized? We did our duty. We kept them alive. Now we return them to their people." Haijin's voice was not unkind, but it was firm. "That is how this works." That evening, Daehyun found all 5 cubs in the ship's small greenhouse. Youngmi had set it up months ago, growing vegetables and flowers from earth seeds. The cubs had never seen plants that were not dangerous. On Krell worlds, most vegetation was carnivorous or poisonous. They sat among the tomato plants and flower pots, touching the leaves gently. Tess held a small yellow flower, staring at it like it was the most precious thing in the universe. "It does not hurt," Kier said softly. He rarely spoke. "Pretty things do not hurt here." Daehyun felt something break in his chest. The morning calm docked at Station Kepler 7 3 days later. Through the viewport, Daehyun could see the Krell war cruiser waiting. It was enormous, dark, covered in weapons. A predator ship. When the crew told the cubs that the delegation had arrived, Ren and Mole disappeared. It took an hour to find them hiding in the ventilation system. Holding each other and shaking, Vac stood in front of his siblings when the adults came to collect them. His small claws extended, his young body tense. "Not attacking, defending." "I will not let them take us," Vac said. His voice broke. "Please." Jiwoo knelt down, tears on her face. "Vac, we do not have a choice." "Yes, you do." Vac looked at Daehyun. "You are the captain. You choose." Daehyun looked at his crew. At Haijin, who was shaking her head. At the cubs, who trusted him to protect them. At the Krell warship waiting outside, he made a decision that would change everything. "Send a message to the Krell delegation," Daehyun said. "Tell them we need 48 hours to prepare the cubs for transfer." "Humanitarian courtesy, Captain," Haijin started. 48 hours, Daehyun repeated. Then he turned to his crew. "We are not giving them up. Taesung, I need you to dig deeper into what happened to Clan Vekthar. Youngmi, pull every piece of data from that ship's computer. Jiwoo, document everything about the cubs' condition when we found them." "Sir, this is..." Haijin tried again. "Mutiny?" Daehyun looked at her. "Maybe, or maybe it is doing what is right. You can report me if you want. But I need 48 hours first." Haijin stared at him for a long moment. Then surprisingly she nodded. 48 hours. "But Captain, you better find something good. Because right now, we are starting an incident that could turn into a war." Taesung worked through the night. What he found made everyone sick. Clan Vekthar had been reformists. They believed Krell culture could evolve beyond constant warfare. They taught their cubs cooperation, not just domination. They traded with other species as equals, not as conquerors. The High Elders declared them traitors. Not for any crime. Simply for being different. The ship had been attacked by other Krell, hired assassins. The orders came from the elders themselves. Every adult was killed. The cubs were supposed to die too, but they hid. They survived, and now the elders wanted to finish the job. If we send them back, they die, Tasung said simply. Maybe not immediately, but they will be re-educated, broken, or they will simply disappear. Dae-Hyan sat in his quarters, head in his hands. 5 children. 5 lives. Against the entire Krell Empire and galactic law, a small sound made him look up. Vax stood in the doorway, holding Tess's hand. Behind them were the other 3 cubs. We know we are trouble, Vax said carefully. We know we are danger for you. We can hide. Go somewhere else. You do not have to fight for us. Come here, Dae-Hyan said. The cubs approached slowly. When they were close, Dae-Hyan knelt down to their level. You are not trouble. You are not danger. You are children who deserve to be safe. He looked at each of them. And I'm going to fight for you. All of us are. Tess started crying and threw her small arms around Dae-Hyan's neck. One by one, the other cubs moved closer until all 5 were hugging him. Their captain. Their protector. Their family. Station Kepler 7 had neutral conference halls designed for exactly this kind of situation. Disputes between species. Arguments over law and culture. The room was circular, with seats arranged so no one species had a dominant position. It was meant to feel fair and balanced. It did not feel that way now. Elder Thrakener sat on one side, surrounded by 3 other Krell officials. He was massive, even for his species, with dark red scales that marked him as ancient. His eyes were cold and unreadable. Behind him stood guards, armed and ready. On the other side sat Dae-Hyan with his crew and Hyjin. They looked small in comparison. Vulnerable. Between them sat Council Arbiter Wei, a member of the Sessic species. The Sessics were old, wise, and completely neutral in all conflicts. Wei's 4 eyes blinked slowly as he reviewed the documents before him. This matter is simple, Thrakener said. His voice was deep, echoing in the chamber. 5 Krell cubs were recovered by a human vessel. According to galactic law, they must be returned to Krell custody immediately. The matter is not simple, a new voice said from the entrance. Everyone turned. A young human man entered, carrying a datapad and walking with complete confidence despite being in a room full of beings that could tear him apart. He wore formal legal robes. My name is Sunwoo. I represent the cubs in this matter. Cubs do not get representation, Thrakener said. They are juveniles. They have no legal standing. Under council law, any being capable of communicating preference has the right to advocate for their welfare, Sunwoo said calmly. He placed his datapad on the table. These cubs can communicate. They have expressed a preference. That gives me standing. Arbiter Wei's eyes blinked thoughtfully. Interesting interpretation. Proceed. Over the next hour, Sunwoo laid out his argument. The cubs had formed psychological bonds with the humans. Breaking these bonds would cause severe trauma. Under council welfare statutes, causing psychological harm to juveniles was prohibited. Therefore, immediate transfer would violate council law. Ridiculous, one of the Krell officials hissed. Krell cubs are raised in harsh conditions. It makes them strong. Some trauma is necessary. Some trauma and deliberate harm are different things, Sunwoo countered. These cubs were found in a state of severe neglect and fear. They have shown improvement under human care. Medical records prove this. Wu stepped forward with her reports, charts showing the cubs' health improvements, psychological evaluations, growth patterns. Everything documented precisely. The cubs were malnourished, dehydrated, and terrified when we found them, Wu said. Now they eat regularly, sleep without nightmares, show curiosity and joy. These are positive developments. You make them weak, Thrakener said. His voice was not angry, but sad. You teach them softness. In Krell society, the weak do not survive. You doom them with your kindness. We teach them they have value beyond fighting, Daehyun said. We teach them that strength comes in many forms. And what do you know of strength, human? Thrakener leaned forward. Your species was prey. You climbed to space not through power, but through cleverness and hiding? You do not understand what it means to be a true predator. You are right, Daehyun said. We were prey, but we were also predators. We hunted and were hunted. We learned both lessons. Maybe that is why we can teach your cubs something you cannot. The room went very quiet. Arbiter Wei raised one hand. I believe it is time to hear from the cubs themselves. They are juveniles. Another Krell official protested. They do not have the wisdom to speak on such matters. They have voices, Wei said firmly. We will hear them. Vak entered the chamber first. He was small compared to the adult Krell, barely reaching their waists. But he walked with his head high. Behind him came the others, each placing a hand on the shoulder of the one in front. A chain of support, they stood in the center of the circular room, surrounded by beings who would decide their fate. Young Vak, Wei said gently. Tell us about your life before the humans found you. Vak's voice started soft, but grew stronger as he spoke. He told them about the ship, about watching adults fight and die, about hiding in the dark for days, not knowing if they would survive, about the constant fear on the clan ship before that. Fear of doing wrong. Fear of being weak. Fear of the punishment that came to cubs who showed kindness instead of dominance. I was 5 years old, Vak said. My brother Mole cried one night because he missed our mother. I held him. The next morning, an elder saw this. He beat us both. He said caring was weakness. Said we would never be true Krell if we did not learn to hurt without feeling. Mole stepped forward, his small voice shaking. I was 4. I thought love was wrong. I thought being afraid was wrong. I thought I was wrong. Ren spoke next. The elders said we were defective. Our clan was defective. They said we should not exist. Kier, who rarely spoke at all, whispered, They told us we deserved to die. Tess, the smallest, looked directly at Elder Thrakener. You want us back? But back to what? To people who hate us? To a place where we are broken? You are being prepared for a hard universe, Thrakener said. There was something in his voice now, something that might have been pain. Krell life is not easy. We must be strong. We are strong, Vak said. We survived. We lived when adults died. We protected each other. Is that not strength? Sunwoo stepped forward again. Elder Thrakener, may I ask you a question? The elder nodded slowly. If these cubs return to Krell space, what happens to them? Be honest. Thrakener was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was heavy. They will be placed with a traditional clan. They will undergo re-education. They will be taught the proper Krell way. And if they cannot forget what they learned here, if they still show kindness, cooperation, gentleness, then they will be considered damaged. Thrakener's eyes closed. They will never rise in status, never be chosen as mates, never be trusted with responsibility. They will live as outcasts in their own society. So you condemn them either way, Daehyun said. Stay with us and your people reject them. Return to you and your people break them. I do not make the culture, Thrakener said. I am bound by it, as all Krell are. Then your culture is wrong, Wu said. Her voice was fierce. Any culture that cannot accept children who want to be gentle is broken. The chamber erupted. Krell officials roared in anger. Humans shouted back. Guards moved forward. Silence! Arbiter Wei's voice cut through the chaos. Everyone stopped. Wei looked at the cubs, then at the adults on both sides. This matter requires more consideration. I will render my decision in 24 hours. Until then, the cubs remain in human custody. As everyone filed out, Thrakener approached Daehyun. The elder towered over the human, but he did not use his size to intimidate. Instead, he spoke quietly. You love them? I see this. It is clear. Thrakener's voice was sad. But human, you give them hope for a life they can never have. Krell society will not change. Not in their lifetime. You save them from one pain only to give them another. Maybe, Daehyun said. Or maybe they will be the ones who change your society. Maybe that is why your elders are so afraid of them. Thrakener studied the human for a long moment. Then he did something unexpected. He bowed his head slightly, a gesture of respect among Krell warriors. Perhaps you are right, human. Perhaps that is exactly why we fear them. That night, the cubs slept on the morning calm, piled together for warmth and comfort. Daehyun sat nearby, keeping watch. He did not know what the arbiter would decide. He did not know if his actions had saved these children or made everything worse, but he knew one thing. He would not stop fighting for them. None of his crew would. These 5 lives mattered. They mattered more than law, more than politics, more than fear. They were worth everything. The alarms on Station Kepler 7 woke everyone before dawn. 3 Krell military vessels had entered the system without permission. They were war cruisers, each one bristling with enough weapons to destroy the entire station. They took position around Kepler 7 and powered up their weapons. Not locked on targets yet. But ready. The message came through on all frequencies. Return the cubs immediately, or this station will be considered hostile territory harboring stolen Krell property. Daehyun rushed to the bridge of the morning calm. His ship was still docked, vulnerable. Around him, station personnel ran in controlled chaos. Emergency protocols activated. Shields went up. But everyone knew the truth. If those 3 warships opened fire, nothing could stop them. Where are the cubs? Daehyun demanded. Medical bay with Ji-woo, Tae-sung reported. They are scared but safe. How long until council forces arrive? 6 hours. Maybe 7? Too long. Far too long. Haijin appeared on screen from the station's command center. Her face was pale. Captain, Station Command is demanding we turn over the cubs. They say it is not worth starting a war over 5 children. Tell Station Command that those warships will destroy us whether we comply or not, Daehyun said. This is not about law anymore. This is about silencing witnesses. Elder Thrakener's face appeared on another screen. He looked shaken. Captain Daehyun, I swear to you, I did not authorize this. The hardline faction of our high command has taken action without council approval. This is illegal under our own laws. Tell them that, Daehyun said. I have. They do not care. Thrakener's voice was heavy. They say the cubs represent weakness. They say if word spreads that Krell Yun can choose to leave our society, it will destroy everything we have built. They would rather kill the cubs than allow that. Then they are monsters, Ji-woo said from behind Daehyun. She had come to the bridge, leaving the cubs with Youngmi in medical. They murder children to protect their pride. Yes, Thrakener said simply. They are monsters, and I am ashamed to share blood with them. Sun Woo had been working frantically since the warships arrived. Now he burst into the bridge, his datapad glowing with information. I found something. A legal path. Everyone turned to him. If the cubs formally request asylum with a council species and that species accepts, then the Krell military action becomes an illegal act of aggression. It gives the council authority to respond with force. But it requires the cubs to publicly denounce their own people, Haijin said slowly. They are children. That is an impossible burden. It is also their only chance, Sun Woo said. Daehyun closed his eyes. He could not ask this of them. Could not put that choice on children who had already lost everything, but he did not have to dot in the medical bay. The 5 cubs had been listening through the ship's communication system. They understood enough now. They knew what was happening. And they made their choice without any adult asking them. Vac accessed the communication panel. His small claws struggled with the human controls, but Youngmi had taught him well. He opened a channel to all frequencies, broadcasting across the entire system. My name is Vac, he said in Galactic Common. His voice was young but steady. I am Krell. I was born in Clan Vecthar. So were my siblings Ren, Mole, Kier, and Tess. Every screen in the system showed his face now. A small Krell cub, scales still soft, eyes too large for his face. Our clan was killed because we believed Krell could be more than warriors. We believed we could choose peace sometimes. Choose kindness. The elders said this made us traitors. They sent hunters to kill us all. Ren stepped into the frame next. We escaped. Humans found us. They did not have to help us. We are predators. They are prey and predator both, but they helped us anyway. Mole spoke next. They gave us food, medicine, safety. They asked nothing in return except that we try to heal. Kier's voice was soft. They showed us that being gentle is not the same as being weak. That caring for others is its own kind of strength. Tess, the smallest, moved to the front. Her voice broke slightly. We want to stay with the humans. We request asylum, not because we are ashamed to be Krell, but because we want to choose who we become. Vac returned to the center of the screen. We are still predators. We will always be predators. But we do not have to be only predators. We can be more. We can be better. Then all 5 cubs said together, "We are home." The transmission ended. Silence filled every ship, every station, every receiver in the system. Aboard the lead Krell warship, Commander Grasscore stared at the screen. His orders were clear. Retrieve the cubs. If refused, destroy the station. Eliminate all witnesses. But those orders had been given in secret, expecting a quiet solution. Not this. Not a public broadcast across all of known space. His communication officer spoke quietly. Commander, the transmission has already been picked up by news networks. It is spreading across the galactic net. Everyone is watching. Grasscore growled low in his throat. If he fired now, the entire galaxy would see the Krell Empire murder children on live broadcast. Every prey species would rise against them. Every neutral species would turn away. Even some Krell would question their leaders, but if he retreated, he would be executed for failure. Elder Thrakener's voice came through on a private channel. Commander Grasscore, I invoke the right of blood witness. Grasscore's eyes widened. Blood witness was an ancient Krell law. An elder could place himself between warriors and their target, demanding they prove their cause through honor combat instead of overwhelming force. It had not been invoked in 300 years. You would protect the cubs? Grasscore asked. I would protect what they represent, Thrakener said. The possibility that we can be better than our worst impulses. Stand down, Commander. Let the Council decide this properly. I have my orders. Your orders are dishonorable. They were given by cowards who hide behind violence because they fear change. Thrakener's voice was iron. I am Elder of the High Council. My authority exceeds theirs. Stand down. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the warships powered down their weapons. Station Kepler 7 erupted in relieved cheers. But Daehyun knew this was not over. Not really. They had won a battle. The war was just beginning. He found the cubs still in medical, huddled together. They looked scared but determined. When they saw him, Vac spoke first. Did we do right? Daehyun knelt down and pulled all 5 into a hug. You did something incredibly brave. You spoke your truth. You claimed your right to choose. Yes, you did right. What happens now? Tess asked. Now we fight in courts instead of space, Daehyun said. We use words instead of weapons. And we prove that you deserve the life you want. Later that day, Elder Thrakener came aboard the Morning Calm. He walked alone through the corridors until he reached medical. The cubs backed away when they saw him, but they did not run. Thraker knelt down slowly, making himself small. In Krell culture, this was a position of submission, of respect. Elders never knelt to young ones. Never. I see you, he said in the Krell language, then repeated in Galactic Common. I see what you have become and what you might become. Your parents believed Krell could change. They died for this belief. I have spent my life thinking they were wrong. He looked at each cub in turn. But perhaps I was wrong. Perhaps you are the future our species needs. even if we do not deserve it. Thrakor stood and faced Daehyun. I will advocate for the cub's choice to the High Council. But know this, human. You have made powerful enemies among my people. They will not forgive this. They will come for you, for your crew, for anyone who stands with these cubs. Let them come, Daehyun said. We will be ready. That night, messages flooded into Station Kepler 7, thousands of them, from across the galaxy. Prey species expressing support. Predator species divided in opinion. And surprisingly, secretly, messages from other Krell, young ones mostly, asking questions. Asking if change was really possible. 23 Krell juveniles sent messages asking how to request asylum. The galaxy was watching now. And nothing would ever be the same. 6 months had passed since Station Kepler 7, 6 months of legal battles, council debates, and endless negotiations, but finally it was done. The cubs had been granted asylum. They were staying with humanity. The morning calm descended through clouds toward an island on Earth. Jeju Island was beautiful, surrounded by blue ocean and covered in green mountains. The integration center had been built here specifically for cases like this. Children of different species who needed homes that understood their unique needs. The cubs pressed against the viewports, staring at the water below with wide eyes. They had never seen an ocean before. Krell worlds were mostly desert and rock. All this blue, all this green, it seemed impossible to them. It is so much, Tess whispered. So much water. Earth is a water planet, Jiwoo said, smiling. Humans evolved near oceans. We love them. You will too. The center was larger than the cubs expected. There were buildings designed for human children, but also special sections for other species. For the Krell cubs, they had built thermal caves with heated rocks and dim lighting. But these caves connected to human-style rooms with windows and soft furniture. The idea was simple. Let them choose. Let them have both their Krell nature and their new human family. Young Mi showed them the engineering workshop where 3 other Krell cubs were already working. They had arrived 2 months ago from different rescue situations. When they saw Vac, Ren, Mole, and Kier, they immediately began the traditional Krell greeting, preparing for dominance displays. Instead, Vac simply said, "Hello," in Galactic Common and offered his hand for a human handshake. The other cubs stared in confusion. Then, slowly, one of them took Vac's hand and shook it. A smile broke across his young face. "Hello," he said back. Jiwoo took Tess to the medical building. "This is where I will work now," she said. "I left the morning calm to be here." "For you? You stayed for me?" Tess's voice was small. "I stayed for all of you. But yes, especially for you." Wu knelt down. "You told me once you wanted to be a healer. I am going to teach you, if you want." Tess threw her arms around Jiwoo's neck and did not let go for a long time. Daehyun spent the first week helping the cubs settle in. He made sure they understood. They could visit the thermal caves whenever they needed, could eat Krell food or human food, could speak their language or Galactic Common. No one would force them to be only one thing. "You are Krell," he told them on their first night. "That will never change. But you are also part of something new now. Something that has no name yet, and that is okay." The peace did not last long. 3 months into their new life, alarms screamed across the integration center. Krell ships had entered Earth's system, not warships this time. Smaller vessels. Stealth craft. They landed on Jeju Island under cover of darkness. 6 Krell warriors, trained assassins, infiltrated the center. Their mission was clear. Kill the cubs. Make an example. Show the galaxy what happened to Krell who abandoned their culture. The attack came during a cultural festival. Human families and Krell cubs had been celebrating together, mixing human harvest traditions with Krell hunt ceremonies. It was supposed to be a happy day. A day of unity. The first explosion took out the power grid. The second breached the eastern wall. Then the assassins entered, moving like shadows, weapons ready. They expected to find weak cubs, contaminated children who had forgotten how to fight. Instead, they found something they could not understand. Krell cubs who fought like humans. Vac did not face the lead assassin alone. He called to Ren and Mole, and they moved as a team, one distracted while the others flanked. Human tactics. Pack tactics. The assassin, trained to fight individual dominance battles, could not adapt fast enough. Young Mi had taught them well. The cubs used the Centra systems against the intruders. Ren locked doors remotely, trapping assassins in sections of the building. Mole vented hot steam into corridors, limiting visibility. Kier, the quiet one, hacked the lighting systems, creating strobe patterns that disoriented Krell eyes evolved for dim light. Tess, the smallest, showed Jiwoo's medical teaching. She knew Krell physiology perfectly now. Knew where pressure points were, where strikes would disable but not kill. When a warrior cornered a group of younger human children, Tess attacked. From behind, hitting the nerve cluster at the base of his skull. The warrior dropped unconscious, but they were still children fighting adult warriors. They were losing. Dae-hyun, Taesung, and other human security personnel fought desperately. Young Mi took a blast to the shoulder, protecting a cub. The situation was falling apart. Then new ships arrived. Not human, Krell, Elder Thrakener walked through the broken wall with 12 Krell warriors behind him. But these warriors wore different markings, reformist colors. They had been secretly organizing, quietly building a movement, waiting for the right moment. "These cubs are under my protection," Thrakener announced. "As are all Krell who choose freedom," the assassins hesitated. Fighting human security was one thing. Fighting other Krell, led by an elder, was treason of the highest order. The lead assassin, a warrior named Krelltok, spat at Thrakener. "You shame us all? These cubs are weak, gentle. They will never survive." "They survived you," Thrakener said simply. 5 children and a handful of humans held off 6 trained killers. "That sounds like strength to me." Krelltok lunged at Dae-hyun instead, hoping to kill the human captain at least. But Vac was faster. The cub threw himself between them, claws extended, a roar coming from his young throat. Not attacking Krelltok? Defending his human dot, it was the moment that changed everything. The image of a Krell cub protecting a human went viral across the galaxy within hours. Predator protecting prey, not hunting, not dominating. Protecting, the assassins surrendered. They had failed their mission and knew it. In the aftermath, medics treated the wounded. Young Mi would recover. No one had died somehow. It felt like a miracle. Dae-hyun found the 5 cubs standing together, looking at the damage around them. They had fought like warriors. They had protected their family. But there were tears on Tess's face and Kier was shaking. "We hurt people," Vac said quietly. "We did not want to hurt people." "You defended yourselves and others," Dae-hyun said. "That is different. You did not attack out of hate or dominance. You fought to protect. That is human. That is Krell. That is both." The Galactic Council held a final hearing 2 weeks later. The cubs, now with even more evidence of their integration and their courage, stood before the Council Arbiter one last time. "The cubs have proven they can maintain their Krell nature while embracing human values," Sun Wu argued. "They are not damaged. They are evolved. They are showing the galaxy that species identity can be more complex than we thought." The Arbiter looked at the 5 cubs. "Do you wish to make a final statement?" Vac stepped forward. He was taller now, growing into his adult body. But his eyes were still young, still kind. "We are Krell," he said. "We will always be Krell. We are proud of our strength, our courage, our warrior heritage. But we learned something from humans. We learned that we can choose what kind of warriors we become. Warriors who protect, not just conquer. Warriors who build, not just destroy. We want both worlds. We want to be whole." The Arbiter was silent for a long moment, then she spoke. "The Council recognizes the Cubs' right to permanent asylum with humanity. Furthermore, we established the Jeju Accord. From this day forward, any juvenile of any species may request asylum if their safety or well-being is at risk. Species identity is important. But individual choice is paramount." It was done. It was finally done. The adoption ceremony happened 1 month later. It blended Korean traditions with Krell customs. Dae-hyun officially became guardian to all 5 cubs. Ji-woo, Young-mi, Tae-sung, and the rest of the crew were recognized as extended family. The Cubs chose to keep their Krell names but added human family names. They became Vak Kim, Ren Park, Tess Lee, Molchoi, and Kir Young, Krell and human together. Elder Thrakener attended the ceremony. He approached Dae Hyun afterward. "You did what I thought impossible," the elder said. "You showed us that change does not mean weakness. My people are divided now, reformists and traditionalists. There will be conflict for generations. But perhaps that conflict is necessary. Perhaps we needed someone to shake our foundations." "I just wanted to save 5 children," Dae Hyun said. "You saved more than that. You saved an idea. The idea that we can all be more than our nature demands." Thrakener placed a hand on Dae Hyun's shoulder, a gesture of deepest respect among Krell. "You gave us hope." 1 year after the rescue, the Morning Calm took off from Earth again. This time with a mixed crew. The 5 Cubs, now teenagers, served as junior officers, learning both human and Krell ways of doing things. Creating something new. Ji-woo had returned to the ship as well. "Someone has to keep these troublemakers healthy," she said, ruffling Tess's head. They were heading to answer a distress call. 3 Vexian juveniles had been abandoned after a clan war. They needed rescue. They needed a home. Dae Hyun stood on the bridge, looking at his crew, humans and Krell working side by side, learning from each other, building something better than either species had made alone. Vak stood at his first officer's station, studying the star charts. He had grown so much in a year. Stronger, smarter, more confident, but still gentle when gentleness was needed. Still kind when kindness mattered.